Hello, I am Hessen. This is Hessen's County. Things have been a little bit quiet lately, so I wanted to explain a little bit about why that I didn't release a video last week, and I almost didn't release one this week, and that is because I have been working on this. This is Queer Armor of a Different Kind. This is a game that is built on the Songs and Sagas system that I have previously released a video on. I'm trying frantically to get this done with the intention of releasing it as a part of the Queer Wrath Jam that has been organized on Itch, but also putting it out for the Songs and Sagas Jam. I got lots of time for that one, so I'm less worried about that. A lot of you are probably vaguely familiar with the terminology queer armor. In this case, again, it's of a different kind because in this version of the world, they managed to get a hold of some interwar, early World War II tanks and armored cars and stuff, and have been using them against the people who would be discriminating and subjugating them. So yeah. The basic idea is this is kind of taking place in a country that has been taken over by a fascist government. I'm not necessarily alluding to any particular country. I'm pulling dabbles here and there from like the fascist movements that arose in like Romania and in the UK and of course Germany and Austria, in Hungary, in lots of different places. So yeah, this is the basic idea: is that you and your fellow players are playing, or if yourself if you're playing solo, are characters who have basically been in this country that has passed a Reinheitsgebot. For those of you who are familiar with that, the Reinheitsgebot is technically a law in Bavaria, from Bavaria, that basically says like you're only allowed to make beer with certain things. So essentially, it's a food purity law. The basic idea here is that in this fictional country, they decided to use it to apply to everything. So, of course, that meant that people who purvey things, goods and services that are ruled impure are considered illegal. But also, like, obviously, groups of people are being targeted. And that, of course, includes a lot of queer people. So basically, as I mentioned here, like, you know, the queer community in this fictional country has had to go underground. So instead, you've started developing informal networks to support each other, and you're funding your resistance and help resist against the police and protect people and stuff like that. And you're funding your resistance by basically bootlegging, by, like, you know, smuggling or providing the goods and services that are technically considered illegal by the police, and are, you know, by the government, and, you know, people are being obviously arrested and prosecuted and stuff like that. But you have stumbled across a seemingly abandoned, you could decide whether it was actually abandoned or not, basically a motor pool depot, or like this abandoned base that used to be used by a mechanized battalion, like in a war that happened not that long ago. Because, again, this is kind of alluding to, it's like the 1920s, 1930s, something like that. And now you have serious access to serious military hardware and can start taking the fight back to the state. And obviously you can't, like, fight against the state forever. You know, this isn't like the launch of like a full-blown rebellion sort of a thing, but you can start to work on that. So of course here, the layout for the game at the moment is almost identical to the original layout for like the Songs and Sagas SRD that René Pierre created. So on the front, just like you see here on the screen, we've got some basic descriptions and some guidelines and suggestions for players and the game master, along with the character sheet over here, which is almost the same as the one in the original SRD. I just added an extra line where so that you can name your vehicle, because again, you have a vehicle as opposed to a background. So yeah, I kind of added my own sort of motif here. So of course we have like the the NATO symbol for enemy armor that you write your attribute numbers in, armor, and then for experience we're marking our tank kills. Of course, on the next 2 pages, on the inside, this would be like the inside of the pamphlet. So you can see here we have the inside of the pamphlet. These are the pages that are specifically discussing the rules. A lot of this is largely unchanged. I did make some small changes just because of places where, I felt there could have been a different way of phrasing a rule or stuff. Or places where I needed to make some small changes because, again, I'm dealing with vehicles instead of backgrounds. So like where your stuff comes from and things like that, I had to make some slight modifications in order to get everything to fit well. Moving down here, this would be the back of the pamphlet. Again, a lot of these, like when you're talking about attributes and stuff, I have not changed them very much. And of course, the section over here discussing experience and stuff like that, I haven't changed much. Here in the middle, we're dealing with vehicles, so I'm discussing some basics here. I've given them each names. So I'm pulling from multiple different languages and traditions just because, again, fascists come from everywhere. So, of course, these tanks and stuff would have come from everywhere. We have, or armored vehicles and stuff like that. One thing that's important to note here is I don't necessarily envision all the vehicles as being like actual tanks and armored vehicles. Some of them, like, for example, the camel here, I kind of see that as being like basically not necessarily like a lorry truck or a cargo truck, but something along those lines, where it's more of like a resource hauler. Because the reason why I'm thinking that the vehicle kind of gives you this sort of reaction card where you can potentially get a better reaction out of an NPC is because, look, it's loaded with goodies. Basically, this is your smuggler truck. So yeah, I'm thinking it's probably like some sort of maybe some sort of like primitive 1920s infantry personnel carrier that we've modified to haul the booze and the other things that we don't want the gray shirts to get a hold of. And another one that I kind of see as probably not actually being like a tank per se would probably be like the Hirschfeld, which yes, I named after the famous German doctor. Because this Hirschfeld is because this is primarily like an aid vehicle and stuff like that. I would maybe it's like an armored ambulance or something along those lines. So yeah, and I did of course note down here, you should try making your own. So because of course to make your own, all you need to do is just decide, okay, we're going to give a +2 boost to this attribute, a +1 boost to that attribute, set a resilience, and then give it a power, and that's about it. So definitely pretty easy to do, and you don't really need to worry super much about balancing because. So yeah, this is queer armor of a different kind. One thing I have not done, and this is the thing that I am struggling with and is taking me a really long time, is the map generation. So for those of you who don't know, there is a map that comes with the original Songs and Sagas. This is the map system that you use in order to create like the island that you're exploring and the regions. And so there's a chart up here where you make the island, but also on the back of that page, there's a whole bunch of tables and stuff where you're supposed to be filling out things like visions and omens and themes of different things you might find in the different hexes and reactions or actions that your character your group might be needing to do on a new mission or whatever. Quests and objectives, threats, personalities of different things you might encounter, and so on and so forth. Loot. So yeah, I'm still working through that part. That's of course the part that's going to take forever. Another reason why this has been taking me a while is because I had originally wanted to also release an independent module that would go with this, built on the Breathless system, that would do a lot of like infantry work and stuff. Because of course you can't be riding in your tank all day every day. You got to go into the city and do stuff, or you got to go do other things that don't involve an armored vehicle. Yeah, I was sort of building the idea is that it's going to be kind of like how downtime works in, let's say, Flying Circus. If you're familiar with that game or something along those lines. It's obviously this is not a Powered by the Apocalypse game or anything like that. But I did want to have sort of like the option of doing and playing certain things during downtimes that don't involve your tank. So Breathless system was going to be the idea to do that, but that's taking a little longer, and obviously the Queer Wrath Jam is kind of ending at the end of the month, so I don't have very long to like put that together and format it and everything. So at this stage, I'm mainly just trying to push to get this part done. And that's why, so much of this is going to look very familiar to anyone who's played Songs and Sagas. I have not modified that much, even though I wanted to. And yeah, that's why that's why things look weird. So yeah, I just wanted to kind of put together this video to, show people this and say, hey, when this comes out, take a look. Obviously it's not out yet. It's because it's not done. But I'm going to do my best to try to release at least an ashcan, let's call it, version of it by the end of the month. So probably I'll finish putting it up over the weekend because unfortunately I'm traveling next week. So I will not be able to work on it then, or at least not very much. Yeah. That was Queer Armor of a Different Kind. So this operates on the Songs and Sagas rules. Links to the video that I did on Songs and Sagas and also to the jams that I mentioned are going to be found in the description down below. Yeah, thank you all for joining us again here today on Hessen County. Don't forget to rate your itch purchases and have a good zone.